From January 4th through January 7th, 2026, Oswego County, New York, experienced an intense and long-lasting lake effect snow event that brought severe winter conditions across much of the region. Powerful snow bands streaming off Lake Ontario persisted for 4 consecutive days, producing extraordinary snowfall and significantly disrupting daily life. Meteorologists explained that the event was caused by a surge of Arctic air passing over the relatively warm waters of Lake Ontario. This setup allowed lake effect snow bands to become nearly stationary, repeatedly affecting the same areas and leading to rapid, continuous accumulation with little relief. By January 7th, snow depths in the hardest hit parts of Oswego County reached extreme levels. Verified reports, official assessments, and widespread video evidence showed ground snow depths commonly exceeding 5 to 6 feet, with localized accumulations and drifts approaching 8 feet, or roughly 2 meters. These extremes were most evident in open areas, along roadways, and locations where wind-intensified snow redistribution. As is typical with lake-effect snow, snowfall totals varied sharply by location. Northern and rural sections of the county experienced the most severe impacts, where repeated bursts of heavy snow reduced visibility to near zero. At times, snowfall rates reached several inches per hour, rendering roads impassable and causing snowbanks to rise above vehicles, doorways, and even ground floor windows. Local and county officials issued travel advisories, winter parking restrictions, and emergency notices, urging residents to stay off the roads unless absolutely necessary. Snow removal crews worked around the clock, but progress was slowed by the sheer volume and persistence of snowfall. In many areas, plows were forced to clear the same roads multiple times each day as fresh snow quickly filled in. Infrastructure impacts were widespread. Emergency services reported increased calls involving stranded motorists, blocked access routes, and weather-related hazards. Concerns also grew over structural stress caused by heavy snow loads on roofs, outbuildings, and agricultural structures. Officials advised residents to closely monitor buildings and remove snow where it could be done safely. Daily life across the county was severely disrupted. Schools closed or adjusted schedules, businesses faced delays or temporary shutdowns, and residents spent hours digging out homes and vehicles, often only to face additional accumulation overnight. In many neighborhoods, movement was limited to narrow paths carved between towering walls of snow. Despite the severity of the storm, authorities emphasized the highly localized nature of lake-effect snow. While some communities recorded extreme accumulation, others just miles away saw significantly less. Even so, officials described this event as one of the most intense lake-effect snow episodes of the winter, both in duration and total snowfall. Meteorologists noted that Oswego County's position directly downwind of Lake Ontario makes it especially vulnerable. When cold air aligns with steady wind flow, snow bands can remain locked in place for days, producing snowfall totals comparable to major blizzards, even without a large, organized storm system. As of January 7th, cleanup operations remained ongoing, with crews continuing to widen roadways, remove snowbanks, and restore access. Residents were urged to remain cautious, conserve energy, and prepare for additional winter weather, as conditions across the Great Lakes region continued to favor further snow development. A powerful and persistent lake-effect snow event brought extreme winter conditions, burying large portions of the region under extraordinary snowfall and bringing daily life to a standstill. For several days, intense snow bands streamed inland, producing relentless accumulation and creating dangerous conditions rarely seen, even in areas accustomed to heavy snow. The storm was driven by a surge of Arctic air moving over relatively warm lake waters. This contrast allowed snow bands to become nearly stationary, repeatedly targeting the same communities. As a result, snow accumulated rapidly and continuously, with little to no break between snow bursts. Snow depths quickly reached extreme levels in the hardest hit areas. Ground snow commonly exceeded 5 to 6 feet, with localized accumulations and drifts approaching 8 feet, especially in open areas along roadways and where strong winds intensified snow redistribution. Visibility frequently dropped to near zero as snowfall rates climbed to several inches per hour. Roads became impassable as snowbanks rose higher than vehicles, doorways, and ground floor windows. Travel was severely restricted, and residents were urged to remain off the roads unless absolutely necessary. Snow removal crews worked around the clock, yet progress was repeatedly erased as fresh snow rapidly filled cleared routes. The impact on infrastructure was significant. Emergency services responded to a growing number of calls involving stranded motorists, blocked access routes, and weather-related hazards. Prolonged accumulation raised serious concerns over structural snow load, placing heavy stress on roofs, outbuildings, and agricultural structures. Residents were advised to monitor buildings closely and remove snow where it could be done safely. Daily life was heavily disrupted. Schools adjusted schedules or closed, businesses faced delays or temporary shutdowns, and residents spent hours digging out homes and vehicles, often only to be buried again overnight. In many neighborhoods, movement was reduced to narrow corridors carved between towering walls of snow. Snowfall varied sharply from one area to another, a defining feature of lake effect events. While some communities experienced extreme accumulation, others just a short distance away saw far less. Even so, officials described the storm as one of the most intense lake effect snow episodes of the season, both in duration and total snowfall. Cleanup efforts continued as crews worked to widen roads, remove massive snowbanks, and restore access. With cold air and favorable conditions persisting, authorities warned that additional snowfall remained possible and urged residents to stay cautious, prepared, and alert as severe winter conditions continued to test both infrastructure and endurance. Snow falls without pause, hour after hour, day after day. At first, it is quiet, almost beautiful, but that feeling does not last. As the accumulation grows, so does the weight of the storm, pressing down on homes, streets, and the people who live here. For many residents, the day begins with uncertainty. Opening the door means facing walls of snow taller than fences, cars buried beyond recognition, and sidewalks that have disappeared entirely. Each step outside is an effort. The cold bites hard, wind stings the face, and breath turns to frost in seconds. What should be a simple task, going to work, buying food, checking on a neighbor, becomes a physical and mental challenge. Inside homes, the storm feels different, but no less heavy. The sound of wind and snow never fully fades. Power flickers. Heaters work overtime. Families gather in small rooms to stay warm, listening closely for unfamiliar creaks from roofs strained under the growing weight. Anxiety settles quietly. People check phones again and again, hoping for updates, for reassurance, for signs that relief is coming. For those who must be outside, plow drivers, emergency responders, delivery workers, the storm is relentless. Snow erases their progress as fast as they can clear it. Visibility vanishes in whiteouts. Fatigue builds, but stopping is not an option. Every call answered, every road reopened, feels like a small victory against something much larger and more powerful. Isolation becomes one of the storm's greatest challenges. Streets turn silent. Familiar routes vanish. Neighbors who once passed without a word now stop to help each other dig out cars, clear entrances, or simply check that everyone is safe. In these moments, frustration and exhaustion mix with solidarity. The storm forces people to slow down, to rely on one another, to endure together. As night falls, the cold deepens. Snow continues to pile higher, and the city feels smaller, quieter, and more fragile. Yet inside that silence is resilience. Residents adapt. They conserve energy, share resources, and find small moments of calm amid the chaos. Hot drinks, shared meals, messages sent to loved ones. This kind of storm tests more than infrastructure. It tests patience, endurance, and emotional strength. It reminds everyone how quickly normal life can be buried and how powerful nature can be when it refuses to relent. But it also reveals something else, the ability to endure, to help, and to keep moving forward, even when surrounded by snow, cold, and uncertainty.